Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and whatever gender you think you are today, welcome to my channel. And my name is Jarrell. I'll be your host. And I'm coming at you with another cast on Martin Luther King Day, January 15th, 2024. Quite an interesting 15 days to 2024, huh? And we're just getting started, figuratively and literally. But I'm not going to get into that. That's going to be a rant for either tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in there. But here, today, I'm here to talk about Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So, there's two speeches that I intend to read today. One, of course, is the I Have a Dream speech. And the other is a speech I discovered not too long ago, and I just found it very interesting. I'm just going to label it that. But we're going to get into both. So, of course, as you know, the I Have a Dream speech, it's got some... It takes a little time to get through it. Of course, everybody remembers the speech when he starts at I Have a Dream and on from there. But there's a lot of things that he talks about before he gets to the well-known I Have a Dream part. So, without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more time. I do apologize about the glare that you see in my glasses. And yes, I'm wearing glasses. I need to see this text. But I will be removing my glasses once I am done with these speeches. So are you ready? Here we go. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American, in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering justice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. So we have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir, H-E-I-R, heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we have come to cash this check. A check that will give us, upon demand, the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But there is something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold which leads to the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by the presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. They have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. As we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious races, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, pray together, struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with a new meaning, "My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring." And if America is to be a great nation, this must come true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, "Free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last." That, by far, is a legendary speech. No doubt about it. Despite the things that have gone on in America, and I completely understand why some people still talk about the 2/3 compromise, and I'm not 2/3 of a man, and everything that's happened leading up to America becoming America, and everything that has happened after America has become America. I understand that. You have a point. But you also need to understand that there has been major milestones in America technology-wise, production-wise, to an extent, diversity, to an extent. I want to make that very clear because DEI, that's spreading like another plague, but I want to make it clear that diversity to an extent is a good thing. Now, if it overrides a person being capable of doing their job, that's a problem. If I have to choose between diversity and people capable of getting the job done, I'm going to choose people getting the job done. I don't care if they're all Hispanic. I don't care if they're all Chinese. I don't care if they're all black, all white, whatever. I don't care. But at least, in my opinion, in this I Have a Dream speech, is to say everybody should have the opportunity to pursue that job. Even if you don't per se qualify for it, it's to say, hey, at least give me the opportunity to fight for that job, or give me the opportunity to go to that college, or, whatever. That's at least my interpretation of it. Not to disqualify me because of my skin. Not to disqualify me because I'm from the ghetto, I'm from the hood, I'm from here, I'm from there, I'm from Taiwan, I'm from Brazil, I'm from Canada. It should be, everybody should at least have an opportunity. Now, obviously there are standards, and if you don't meet the standards, I understand that. That's one thing. But if you don't hire somebody simply because of their skin, simply because that's a problem. And this speech, in my opinion anyway, addresses that. There has been milestones in music, there has been milestones in sports, there has been milestones in politics. And that's great. It's good to see. I enjoy that. I truly do. I truly, being black, I truly love seeing that. I truly do. I don't want it to come at the expense of being able to do your job. However, I will say it's for the most part, it's good. I'm just going to throw out an example. Our vice president, okay? Black woman, okay? That's great. I'm not going to get into, but it's a milestone, okay? It's good for the purpose of the history books and saying, oh, a black woman was vice president. Okay, that's great. Is she doing her job? That's subjective. And I'm not even going to touch. That's not for me to touch today. You could talk about Barack Obama, black man, president. Nobody ever thought that would be possible. It was possible for 2 terms. Did he do his job? That's subjective. That's another argument for another day. But it's good to see that. It's good to see. I don't even want to say it's good to see diversity. I'm just glad that it's not all white. It's not all black. It's not. Now, when you force it down people's throat, yeah, that's a big problem. Like, okay, well, we're just gonna have this all black flight crew just because there's never been one before. Well, okay, that's great, but I mean, as long as they do their job, I don't care what color they are. I don't care. If the plane is going down, if a door flies open, if something else happens on the plane, you being black, it don't matter. It's like, hey, I need you to help everybody. I need you to do your job and help everybody. Okay? Save lives to the best of your ability. I don't care if you're black. Save my life. Okay? I don't care if it's a white paramedic, a black paramedic. I don't care. If I need to be zapped with X amount of volts to be revived, I'm not gonna care. You zap me. I don't care if you're black or you white. I don't care. I don't care if you're Hispanic, Asian, whatever. I don't care. So what? That's what I'm hoping, and that's what, at least my interpretation of the "I Have a Dream" speech. For us to move past this color stuff, who gives a shit? Now, see, here's my thing. I'm curious to see, to not judge by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I'm curious to see if that's going to happen if I decide to date a woman from Colombia. If I decide to date a white woman. If I decide to date a woman from Guam or Vietnam or China, Japan, from Haiti, from Italy, France, Germany, Iceland. I wonder. And I understand, it's January 15th and, we got to puff our chest and, all this. I understand that. But are these things going to apply beyond Martin Luther King Day? Beyond Black History Month? Are we going to remember this April 23rd? Are we going to remember this July 18th? Are we going to remember this October 1st or October 8th? Are we going to remember this? Remains to be seen. So, now, off of that speech, off of that legendary speech, and he gets big props for that speech. Let's go to another speech. And before we get into that, I'm going to get a sip of water because I really want to get into this. I mean, really dive into this. This speech, I only read half of it, so it's still new to me. But the fact that this speech even came about is, I still don't know what to say about it. I really don't. But we're going to talk about it regardless. So we're going to pause for station identification, and we're going to get into the second speech. Be right back. And we are back. Gotta make sure the shirt look good. I gotta give me some more exercise. Anyway, so here we go. Here is speech number 2. And it reads, family planning, a special and urgent concern. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., upon accepting the Planned Parenthood Federation of America Margaret Sanger Award. Yeah, I said that correct. Yeah, hold on. I don't have my glasses. Let me put these on. Maybe I read it incorrectly, but okay, see, I got my glasses on now. So let's read this again. Family planning, a special and urgent concern. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., upon accepting the Planned Parenthood Federation of America, the PPFA, Margaret Sanger Award. I'm going to save all my questions for the end. Now, one person or a lot of people may think I said the I Have a Dream speech to lionize, and I may read this speech to demonize. No. It's not even a compare and contrast. It's just, I have questions. but I have to hold myself back. I really have to hold myself back from questions. I have to actually read through this entire speech, and then I'm going to unleash with the questions. So, are you still ready? Here we go. In 1966, Planned Parenthood Federation of America inaugurated the PPFA Margaret Sanger Award to honor the woman who founded America's family planning movement. The PPFA Margaret Sanger Award is given annually to individuals of distinction in recognition of excellence in leadership in furthering reproductive health and reproductive rights. In its first year, the award was bestowed upon 4 men. Dr. Carl G. Hartman for his singular contribution to human knowledge of the reproductive processes. Dr. William H. Draper Jr. for his singular contribution during the past decade to the mobilization of public awareness and government action to resolve the world population crisis. President Lyndon Baines Johnson for his vigorous and far-sighted leadership in bringing the United States government to enunciate and implement an affirmative, effective population policy at home and abroad. And, arguably the keynote, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. for his courageous resistance to bigotry and his lifelong dedication to the advancement of social justice and human dignity. Dr. King's award was presented on May 5th, 1966. The citation read, "This award is presented to the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. for his courageous resistance to bigotry and his lifelong dedication to the advancement of social justice and human dignity." Facing jail, abuse, and physical danger, Dr. King's unceasing efforts in behalf of all Americans, or maybe on behalf of all Americans, whatever, to win freedom for the Negro people parallel closely Mrs. Sanger's fight over the last half-century for the emancipation of women from the burdens of perpetual childbearing and the emancipation of children from a future of poverty and hopelessness. Neither Mrs. Sanger nor Dr. King has hesitated to challenge unjust laws, cruel social customs, and blind prejudice that hold people in ignorance and degradation. Our courts, our legislatures, and most of all, the human heart and mind have been the crucible in which they have forged a nobler history for all mankind. In the tradition of all great humanitarians who have seen that human life and progress are indeed indivisible, Dr. King has lent his eloquent voice to the cause of worldwide voluntary family planning. For Martin Luther King's unique qualities of understanding, compassion, and bravery, and for his wise and unwavering leadership in securing for all people their basic human right to knowledge, dignity, and opportunity that are the fount and principle of Margaret Sanger's life, this award is presented. Wow, that sentence almost got me. Wow. Mrs. Coretta Scott King delivered her husband's acceptance speech on his behalf. Here we go. Before reading Dr. King's speech, Mrs. King declared, "I am proud tonight to say a word in behalf of your mentor and the person who symbolizes the ideas of this organization, Margaret Sanger. Because of her dedication, her deep convictions, and for her suffering for what she believed in, I would like to say that I am proud to be a woman tonight. Planned Parenthood is proud to reprint Dr. King's acceptance speech. Planned Parenthood is proud to reprint Dr. King's acceptance speech. Oh, sorry. I said I wasn't going to do that. Here we go. Family planning, a special and urgent concern by the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Recently, the press has been filled with reports of sightings of flying saucers. Wow. Coming out the gate already. Ooh, okay. While we need not give credence to these stories, they allow our imagination to speculate on how visitors from outer space would judge us. I am afraid they would be stupefied at our conduct. They would observe that for death planning, we spend billions to create engines and strategies for war. They would also observe that we spend millions to prevent death by disease and other causes. Finally, they would observe that we spend paltry sums for population planning, even though its spontaneous growth is an urgent threat to life on our planet. Our visitors from outer space could be forgiven if they reported home that our planet is inhabited by a race of insane men whose future is bleak and uncertain. There is no human circumstance more tragic than the persisting existence of a harmful condition for which a remedy is readily available. Family planning to relate population to world resources is possible, practical, and necessary. Unlike plagues of the Dark Ages or contemporary diseases we do not yet understand, the modern plague of overpopulation is soluble by means we have discovered and with resources we possess. What is lacking is not sufficient knowledge of the solution, but universal consciousness of the gravity of the problem and the education of the billions who are its victims. It is easier for a Negro to understand a social paradox because he has lived so long with evils that could be eradicated, but were perpetuated by indifference or ignorance. The Negro finally had to devise unique methods to deal with this problem. And perhaps the measure of success he is realizing can be an inspiration to others coping with tenacious social problems. In our struggle for equality, we were confronted with the reality that many millions of people were essentially ignorant of our conditions or refused to face unpleasant truths. The hardcore bigot was merely one of our adversaries. The millions who were blind to our plight had to be compelled to face the social evil their indifference permitted to flourish. After centuries of relative silence and enforced acceptance, we adapted a technique of exposing the problem by direct and dramatic methods. We had confidence that when we awakened the nation to the immorality and evil of inequality, there would be an upsurge of conscience followed by remedial action. We knew that there were solutions and that the majority of the nation were ready for them. Yet we also knew that the existence of solutions would not automatically operate to alter conditions. We had to organize, not only by arguments, but people in the millions for action. Finally, we had to be prepared to accept all the consequences involved in dramatizing our grievances in the unique style that we had devised. Our grievances in the unique style we had devised. There is a striking kinship between our movement and Margaret Sanger's early efforts. She, like we, saw the horrifying conditions of ghetto life. Like we, she knew that all of society is poisoned by cancerous slums. Like we, She was a direct actionist, a nonviolent resistor. She was willing to accept scorn and abuse until the truth she saw was revealed to the millions. At the turn of the century, she went into the slums and set up a birth control clinic. And for this deed, she went to jail because she was violating an unjust law. Yet the years have justified her actions. She launched a movement which is obeying a higher law to preserve human life under humane conditions. Margaret Sanger had to commit what was then called a crime in order to enrich humanity, and today we honor her courage and vision. For without them, there would have been no beginning. Our sure beginning in the struggle for equality by nonviolent direct action may not have been so resolute without the tradition established by Margaret Sanger and people like her. Negroes have no mere academic nor ordinary interest in family planning. They have a special and urgent concern. Recently, the subject of Negro family life has received extensive attention. Unfortunately, studies have overemphasized the problem of the Negro male ego and almost entirely ignored the most serious element, Negro migration. During the past half century, Negroes have migrated on a massive scale, transplanting millions from rural communities to crammed urban ghettos. In their migration, as with all migrants, they carried with them the folk ways of the countryside into an inhospitable city slum. The size of family that may have been appropriate and tolerable on a manually cultivated farm was carried over to the jammed streets of the ghetto. In all respects, Negroes were atomized, neglected, and discriminated against. Yet the worst omission was the absence of institutions to acclimate them to their new environment. Margaret Sanger, who offered an important institutional remedy, was unfortunately ignored by social and political leaders in this period. In consequence, Negro folkways and family size persisted. The problem was compounded when unrestrained exploitation and discrimination accented the bewilderment of the newcomer, and high rates of illegitimacy and fragile family relationships resulted. I'm going to read that sentence again. The problem was compounded when unrestrained exploitation and discrimination accented the bewilderment of the newcomer, and high rates of illegitimacy and fragile family relationships resulted. For the Negro, therefore, intelligent guides of family planning are a profoundly important ingredient in his quest for security and a decent life. There are mountainous obstacles still separating Negroes from a normal existence, yet one element in stabilizing his life would be an understanding of and easy access to the means to develop a family related in size to his community environment and to the income potential he can command. This is not to suggest that the Negro will solve all his problems through Planned Parenthood. His problems are far more complex, encompassing economic security, education, freedom from discrimination, decent housing, and access to culture. Yet if family planning is sensible, it can facilitate or at least not be an obstacle to the solution of the many profound problems that plague him. The Negro constitutes half the poor of the nation. Like all poor, Negro and white, they have many unwanted children. This is a cruel evil they urgently need to control. There is scarcely anything more tragic in human life than a child who is not wanted. That which should be a blessing becomes a curse for parent and child. There is nothing inherent in the Negro mentality which creates this condition. Their poverty causes it. When Negroes have been able to ascend economically, statistics reveal they plan their families with even greater care than whites. Negroes of higher economic and educational status actually have fewer children than white families in the same circumstances. Some commentators point out that with present birth rates, it will not be long before Negroes are a majority in many of the major cities of the nation. As a consequence, they can be expected to take political control, and many people are apprehensive at this prospect. Negroes do not seek political control by this means. They seek only what they are entitled to and do not wish for domination purchased at the cost of human misery. Negroes were once bred by slave owners to be sold as merchandise. They do not welcome any solution which involves population breeding as a weapon. They are instinctively sympathetic to all who offer methods that will improve their lives and offer them fair opportunity to develop and advance as all other people in our society. For these reasons, we are natural allies of those who seek to inject any form of planning in our society that enriches life and guarantees the right to exist in freedom and dignity. For these constructive movements, we are prepared to give our energies and with consistent support. Because in the need for family planning, Negro and white should have a common bond, and together we can and should unite our strength for the wise preservation, not of races in general, but of the one race we all constitute, the human race. Let's see. Oh, there's a little more. So, here's a little side note. Margaret Sanger was too ill to attend the award ceremony in May 1966. She died the following September. Mrs. Sanger would have been deeply honored and pleased to have heard such beautiful tributes from kindred heroes in the struggle for equality and civil rights, Dr. and Mrs. Martin Luther King Jr. About 2 weeks after the award ceremony, Dr. King wrote the following letter to Cass Canfield, chairman of the executive committee of the PPFA, World Population Emergency Campaign. Dear Mr. Canfield, words are inadequate for me to say how honored I was to be the recipient of the Margaret Sanger Award. This award will remain among my most cherished possessions. While I cannot claim to be worthy of such a signal honor, I can assure you that I accept it with deep humility and sincere gratitude. Such a wonderful expression of support is of inestimable value for the continuance of my humble efforts. Again, let me say how much I regret that at the last minute, urgent developments in the civil rights movement made it impossible for me to be in Washington to personally receive the award. My wife brought glowing echoes of the wonderful reception and impressiveness of the total occasion. I am happy to be the recipient of the Margaret Sanger Award, and I can assure you that this distinct honor will cause me to work even harder for a reign of justice and a rule of love over our nation. Sincerely yours, Martin Luther King Jr. Let me check my phone first. Let me Pause for a second. You know, when I first landed on this, I really wasn't even looking for this. I wasn't looking for Dr. Martin Luther King and Margaret Sanger. I really wasn't looking for that. I was looking more into Margaret Sanger, who believes in eugenics, population control. And I've explained what eugenics is. I've done that before, but I'll do it again if it's necessary. All you got to do is look up definition of eugenics. And it's number one, first and foremost, eugenics is unscientific. It's in the definition. Look at the definitions. You can pause this video and look it up on Google. You're going to see the word unscientific in the middle of the definition. Just go down a few different definitions. You'll see it. It is the systematic elimination of unworthy races, people with deformities, or whatever, just annihilation of just people for the sake of population control. Now, upon reading this, I had no idea that population control was such a big thing even in the 60s. So I just found this very interesting. So the way I found this is I was looking up Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood and this and that. Then I discovered that she actually had an award that she's been giving out basically every single year, all the way up until, I don't know, I want to say maybe 2016 or 2018 or something like that. For what I understand, Planned Parenthood was trying to scrub Margaret Sanger's name off the award because she believed in eugenics. And if you, it's not going to take you much homework to see what eugenics is all about. Okay, if you want to put it in more simple terms, it's kind of like that German guy in the 40s with the, and he was claiming a master race. That was basically eugenics on steroids. Okay, and he actually went out and attempted to eliminate certain people. Okay, he actually was trying to do that. See, Margaret Sanger, she didn't do it violently. She just did it non-violently. So, while I'm looking up the awards, there was a recipient in 2014 who received the award. I'm not going to say who it is because YouTube is probably going to cancel this anyway, because you can only say so much truth. If I was talking about Trump and how evil he was, I'd get all kind of views. But see, if we talk about stuff like this, it's going to get put on the shelf, which is fine, because I'm not doing this for likes. I'm not doing this for a whole bunch of subscribers or, trying to go viral. I'm looking for the fucking truth. That's what I'm looking for. And as we all know, YouTube is not about the truth. They're about an agenda. I mean, they're owned by Google, so what do you expect? So, the recipient from 2014, and I'll give you a clue. I'll just give you a short clue. Most of you voted for her in 2016. Moving on. So I kept scrolling down, and I saw President Lyndon B. Johnson. I saw a couple of names that I recognized. I'm like, what? That's kind of weird. But then, 1966, Lyndon B. Johnson. What the fuck? What is a president doing on there? And I want to say it's another president on there, but I'm not sure. I just know it was Lyndon B. Johnson. I know that much. And then right under that, or right in that 1966 window, was Dr. Martin Luther King. And I wish I could tell you it was the ultimate record skip in my head. I mean, the record is still skipping, and this has been months. The record, when it comes to Martin Luther King, I mean, that record skips. It's just, and I mean, it's just been skipping the whole time. Every time I think about this shit, every time I think about Planned Parenthood, every time I hear Margaret Sanger, then it goes to eugenics, then it goes to this, then it goes to this. And I'm like, oh my God, how? So, no, I am not sitting here saying that I don't believe this, because I do. And I'm thinking, in a part of me, there's a part of me, legitimately, that is trying to think up of all kind of excuses. Let's get the excuses out of the way. Because I'm gonna let you in my head a little bit, like, well, okay, maybe he was coerced into it. Maybe he was he was getting blackmailed, or maybe he was maybe somebody had something on him and tried to, maybe this or maybe that, and what was the emergency that he couldn't actually be there for the award, or, it's, come on, it's this, and this. That's, no. Now, the other part is you can't unsee this. Planned Parenthood was proud to have Martin Luther King, a civil rights leader, apparently, all for Negro civil rights, all for Negroes to advance, to move forward, and populate, and be in positions of power, and make things happen. I just, it's unbelievable. And I'm not saying that I don't believe it. It's just one of those things. Now, look, I've heard some things about Martin Luther King on the way, okay? Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, he was just the greatest thing since Jesus. Not on that level. But to a point where it's like, wow, I mean, a highly respected. I held that man in high regard and very high respect. In some ways, I do. But this, I have questions. I have lots of questions. Number one, why is Dr. Martin Luther King rolling with Margaret Sanger? Why? Civil rights movement and eugenics. Civil rights, eugenics. It doesn't. Vinegar and oil. Vinegar and oil. Oil and water. Oil and water. It's that's where it's at with me. It's oil and it's water. It doesn't comprende with me. It doesn't make sense. It's kind of like having that cork board, and you see it in the movies, you see it in conspiracy theories, and we're starting to run out of those, in case you didn't know. But you see it, you have a picture of one person, you have a picture of another person, and if there's a connection, you see a red line. But then you see a picture of this person, you see a picture of that person, you see a picture of this person over here, you have this red line, that 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 red line. Margaret Sanger, Martin Luther King, and this speech is apparently the red line. However, it's like it's hard for me to believe it. It's very hard for me to believe it. I'm like, what? Now, I'm not gonna sit up here and say, hell no, I don't believe this shit. No, I do. But I have to do research on this. This is a big piece of evidence. It is. It's a big piece of evidence. But I need more. I want more. Because I don't want to be that type of person to see, it's just that one article, this one thing, and that's it. That's all I need. I don't want to hear nothing else. Yeah. No. I want to be able to duplicate this. I want to be able to see this somewhere else. I want to see if there was a photo. If there's a photo of Mrs. Coretta Scott King. If there's a photo of her at the ceremony. To actually see the plaque, to actually see the letter, to actually see, there's things that I want to see. I want to ask questions. And I don't want to ask emotional people, because Martin Luther King brings out emotions in people. He does. Okay? The majority of people, at least from my understanding and my opinion, I mean, hell, how many places are closed to honor this man's birthday? You know, I'm not saying anything against it. I'm not saying anything wrong against it. What I'm saying is it brings an emotion. It brings something. It brings a force. But I don't want to ask emotional people about this, about why he's accepting an award from Planned Parenthood. And heaven only knows how many terminations there have been of fetuses from Planned Parenthood. Heaven only knows that. I mean, it was the World Health Organization, and you can only agree with them so much. You can only take their word for it so much. I mean, one hand they give you information, on the other hand they're trying to destroy you. So I mean, I watch Worldometers.info. If you go to that website, and I'll put that link in the description. And I wanted to see it right before the turn of the new year, but if I'm not mistaken, it was between 40 and 45 million terminations. What? Why? And I mean, it doesn't make. I don't even have words for it. And it said right in here. It said right here. Let me go through this. That she went to an abortion clinic in the ghetto, right in a highly populated black area, apparently, or poor area. And I mean, that's even. Wait a minute. I'm gonna read it before I even take off with it. Here we go. Right here. And I'm just going to quote this. Quote, "At the turn of the century, she went into the slums and set up a birth control clinic. And for this deed, she went to jail. Because she was violating an unjust law." End quote. Let me read that again so I make sure I have it correct. Quote, "At the turn of the century, she went into the slums and set up a birth control clinic. And for this deed, she went to jail because she was violating an unjust law. End quote. At the turn of the century, so early 1900s, she set up a birth control clinic in the slums. Poor people. This sounds like globalist talk. And that's where I'm trying. I mean, it's here. It's there. I see the shadow of that red line where it's kind of it's kind of like if you play a video game, certain video games like Borderlands or whatever else, Call of Duty or whatever, and they have an outline of what you put a device there. They have it, like a flashing green or some shit like that, a color that you can clearly see, and then when you walk up to it, press X to place this device. You do. That's what it's like. I see the shadow of that red line. Like, okay, I know it's supposed to go there. That red line, I'm supposed to put a red line right there. But it's almost like, damn it, I need more. I want more. And there's so much in here. There's so much content. And I'm really not in the mood to dive into all of it. But I mean, talking about population control. Wait a minute. Hold on. Quote, unlike plagues of the Dark Ages or contemporary diseases we do not yet understand, the modern plague of overpopulation is soluble by means we have discovered and with resources we possess. End quote. The modern plague of overpopulation is soluble by means we have discovered and with resources we possess. That sounds like globalist talk right there in this book. And I told you I was going to have this book, didn't I? I told you this book is going to go everywhere. It's going to be here every cast. Klaus Schwab says the same exact thing, comparing COVID-19 to the plagues. Like, oh, the plagues and this and that and everything else. And yeah, that was, population and this and that. And it killed, 30% of the population. A plague of overpopulation? And this is back in the 60s. This is back even further. This is back at the turn of the century. She started this. She started that. This is what it's amazing. And this is what I'm talking about. Number one, who in the hell is giving these people permission to do shit like this? Who is telling these people that, oh, there's too many people on the planet, so we need to start eliminating people so we can save resources? Who is giving them permission? Where does it say that in the Bible? If I'm not mistaken, in the Bible it says, be fruitful, multiply. Where in the Bible does it say, well, if the earth gets too populated, then then the Lord says he's going to designate some people to control the population. Population control. You see, it's that word popping up again. Gun, control. Population, control. Controlled by who, for what, and why. That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. I don't get it. I truly don't get it. Who is giving these people permission for this? And clearly, obviously, the issue of overpopulation has been an issue for quite a while. And that's disturbing. It's very disturbing. Quote, unlike plagues of the Dark Ages or contemporary diseases We do not yet understand the modern plague of overpopulation is soluble by means we have discovered and with resources we possess. End quote. Meaning we can deal with overpopulation and we have the tools to do it. That sounds like a globalist to me. That sounds like globalist talk. And that is very, 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 very hard for me to believe that Martin Luther King Jr. was a part of this. But that does not mean that I don't believe it. Why? Because I'm reading it right here. Link is going to be in the description if you think I'm full of shit. Read it for yourself. I just read it to you, so in case you want to see it for yourself, you can read it. I'm just in disbelief about this. I'm truly in disbelief. And I'm just going through this stuff. I'm just slowly reading through it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Where's the part about Negro migration? Oh my God. Oh, I gotta read this paragraph again. I gotta read this again. I have to. Here we go. Well, I'm going to. It's my channel. I can do what the hell I want. You can leave. If you don't want to hear this shit, bye. Peace. Adios. See you when I see you. Maybe I'll see you during the next pandemic that you're gonna get lied to about. Let's talk then, shall we? Quote. Recently, the subject of Negro family life has received extensive attention. Unfortunately, studies have overemphasized the problem of the Negro male ego and almost entirely ignored the most serious element, Negro migration. During the past half century, Negroes have migrated on a massive scale, transplanting millions from rural communities to crammed urban ghettos. In their migration, as with all migrants, they carried with them the folk ways of the countryside into an inhospitable city slum. The size of family that may have been appropriate and tolerable on a manually cultivated farm was carried over to the jammed streets of the ghetto. In all respects, Negroes were atomized, neglected, and discriminated against. Yet the worst omission was the absence of institutions to acclimate them to their new environment. Margaret Sanger, who offered an important institutional remedy, was unfortunately ignored by social and political leaders in this period. In consequence, Negro folkways and family size persisted. The problem was compounded when unrestrained exploitation and discrimination accented the bewilderment of the newcomer, and high rates of illegitimacy and fragile family relationships resulted. End quote. This is mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing. And this is coming from Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, I need another resource. I need to see some things for myself. I need a physical copy. I need something. Okay? I'm not just going to take this one thing and just go to town with it, because I'm going to do more research on this. I'm just going to have to put this on the shelf. I can't do this right now because starting tomorrow, I got physics and I got intro to statistics. I'm gonna get smoked. I'm on a revenge tour from last semester. I got tore up last semester. It was a terrible semester. Not the least of which, getting valley fever. That was so fucking exciting. Lost a lot of time and a lot of money. I'm not even gonna go there. But I'm not gonna have time to look this up like I want to. So, to the awakened, and you know who you are, I'm asking for your help. I need you to help look some of this stuff up. Also, those who are able to look at this objectively, I need people who are going to look at this objectively. I don't need people who are going to fly off the handle just because they heard something that they don't like about Dr. Martin Luther King. But I don't like that you said that. I was born in 81. He said this in 66. Do the math. My parents weren't even teenagers when this was said. So you may want to bring all that smoke to somebody else. Why don't you take that smoke to Planned Parenthood? You're going to do that? Nope. You're going to sit here, you're going to look at me and think I'm full of shit. And this stuff is on the internet. I'm looking at it right now. But you don't want that. You don't want that. You want to access, you want to get mad at people that you can access. You want to get mad at people that you're close to. Instead of going after these people that lie to you every fucking day. Huh? And another portion of you, and yeah, I didn't really want to bring out any barbs. I really didn't, but I'm going to bring it out anyway. And if you don't like it, too bad. Some of you have contributed to the annihilation of people. Some of you multiple times. 1 deletion, 2 deletion, 3 deletion, 4 deletion, 5 deletion, Some of you might as well just, excuse me, some of y'all might as well just own a room. You might as well just pay for a room in a Planned Parenthood clinic. That's a couple blocks from you, or a bus ride from you. You might as well just be like, man, I done been in here so much, let me just buy this room. Because all you gonna do is you're gonna be irresponsible. You're gonna walk up in there. They're gonna do whatever they do to you. You're gonna spread your legs wide open. They're gonna do whatever they do to you, and you're gonna go back and you're gonna cry. And, oh God, I could have named him. I could have named him all this, and I was gonna name him Tiny because he looks so tiny. And oh my God, shut up. Because the following Saturday, and you know as well as I do, you're going to go up to the club, drink the same shit, look for the same dude, get pregnant the same way, and then he's going to leave you, and then you're going to do the same thing all over again. And do I need to talk about the race of women that's leading the race to the bottom? Who's had more fetal deletos than anybody? Do we need to talk about that? I didn't think so. But it was said to you right in this article. A birth control clinic in the slums, in the ghetto. Liquor stores in the ghetto. Abortion clinics in the ghetto. Posters for the 211 and Code 45 and, all this other shit. In the ghetto. St. Ides. When Nate Dogg was singing St. Ides. You remember that? I know you remember that. Billy D. Williams, Code 45. I remember that commercial. And I know you do too. How many of them did you see in the ghetto? Cigarettes. Cigarette billboards. In the ghetto. Most of them. How many? Come on now. I'm no fool. I mean, I sound like I don't know what's going on. I mean, I didn't grow up in the hood. I didn't know all that, but you should know. Since you grew up in the hood, you should know. And you know people who have been to Planned Parenthood multiple times, multiple occasions, repeat offenders. You know that. But people like you contribute to the population control. Congratulations. This was all a plan. And it's unfortunate. It's disappointing, and I'm starting to get a little pissed. But I didn't even want to get amped up. I'd probably need to stop before I actually do. Because I'm about ready to open fire, because this is more globalist nonsense and bullshit. And this is a segue into the Georgia Guidestones. I told you this. And I'll say this again. If these globalists have their way, check out the Georgia Guidestones. And it says explicitly, a population no higher than 500 million. The population right now is over 8 billion. Do the math. But since you're not going to do the math, I'll do the math for you. It's very simple. Count yourself. Make sure you count yourself. And if it makes you feel better, you can count me. So that's 1, 2, and count 8 other people. Oh, no, I take that back. Don't just count 8 other people. No. If you got kids, you make sure you count them too. So it's you, me, and your kids. So let's say you have 3 kids. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That your 3 kids, you and me. That's 5. Then the first 5 people that come to your mind. If these globalists have their way, they want 9 of you dead. Which one of you is going to be the sole survivor? But what is everybody, including myself, going to say? They ain't going to kill me. I'm going to be the sole survivor. Okay, so let's say, let's just play the scenario out. It's you and your children. Or I'll take that back. It's you, your spouse, or your baby mama, or whoever, whatever. It's you, the woman you had the kids with, and your 3 kids. So it's 5 of you, right? Who's the 45 you're gonna let die? Huh? Who's the other 45 you're gonna let die? Do the math. Come on. You can do it. If you 5 are gonna survive, then that means 45 have to die. Which 45 is it gonna be? Huh? And that's where I need to make the connection. Planned Parenthoods, these globalists. Who funds these people? Bill Gates' father was a part of Planned Parenthood. That's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. You can do a little research yourself. Why don't you just type in Bill Gates' father, Planned Parenthood? And it's a video of Bill Gates saying, oh yeah, my father was in Planned Parenthood. Start doing the math on this stuff. You think it's a bailout. It's not a bailout. Every time you walk into Planned Parenthood and you open your legs and you have all that taken out of you, just so you can go out to the club again, because we know that, okay? Don't play me or try to play me for a fucking fool. Every time you do that, you are paying homage to these people who ultimately want you dead anyway. Now, there is another side to this, believe it or not. Should you be responsible if you have children? Yeah. If you have one child, do what you need to do to keep that kid fed and clothed. Take that kid to school and everything else. I understand. A lot of schools ain't worth the fuck. I understand that. It's hard to get your kid healthy food. I understand that. Food is expensive. I understand that. Babysitters are expensive. Daycares are expensive. I understand that. I understand that. But come on now. 1 kid, 2 kids, 5 kids, 8 kids. There's a woman that's notorious for this. And I'm not even gonna say what I want to say. Because it's her fault. It's not the kid's fault. It's the mother's fault. There is one woman, I don't even know how she got dues to even, anyway. But she said, look at all these kids. Somebody got to pay for them. Bitch, you done had all these fucking kids and it didn't occur in your head that, damn, I got 3 kids and I ain't really working, maybe I should do something. Maybe I should get a hysterectomy. If you want to fuck so bad, get a hysterectomy. What do you think I did? When I started doing my thing, that's what I was hunting for. I was hunting for women with hysterectomies because I did not want to get any of these fucking females pregnant. It's a little wisdom, just a little bit. When she had her hysterectomy, charge, and I did. And when I got tired of dealing with single mothers, I was like, all right, fine, fuck. Oh, shit. Ugh. Come on now. All this contraceptive. Now, I mean, they do offer contraceptive. I mean, damn, dude, damn, woman. And I'm gonna talk to you dudes in a minute. But you females, you control access to the body. We control access to a relationship. If we don't get on our knee and propose to you, you don't get married. If you keep your legs closed, guess what? We don't have sex. It's that simple. But some of you, you don't know how to keep your legs closed. And then you want to blame society. Then you want to blame God. Then you want to blame your mama. You want to blame your dad that wasn't there for a good reason or not. You want to blame everything. But who told you to open your legs to this person who you knew was going to fuck you over, figuratively and literally? Who told you to do that? If you had actually listened to your parents, you probably wouldn't be in the situation that you're in. Probably. But you got multiple kids, multiple men. But whose fault is it? Their fault? Possibly. Yeah, it's possibly their fault. You know, you do the crime, you do the time. You get a woman pregnant, you should deal with her. And if you don't deal with her, it's like, well, here, I'll just pay you. I'll pay you to stay away. Fuck. You know? Shit. That happens too. I get it. And you dudes, you gonna sit up here and tell me that you can't go to the gas station 5 minutes away? You can't put that used to be the thing back in the 90s. That used to be a thing back in the 80s. You had a condom in your wallet. What, you don't carry condoms in your wallet anymore? You don't carry them in your in the glove box anymore? Huh? You don't have a secret stash somewhere? You don't have a stash somewhere in your fucking room? You just, oh man, you know, I gotta hit this raw. I have to hit this raw. There ain't no other way. I like it raw, man. I like it too. I like it raw too, fool. But I'm no fool either. I'm not just gonna be lost in the pussy and just be like, oh man, I was lost for a second. Fuck no, not me. Hell no. Do I need to explain this to you? Apparently I do. Whatever position that I had a woman in, it didn't matter. And there were multiple positions. There was always one point in time. Do I want to deal with this woman for 18 years? And if the answer was no, which it was, I made sure that I pulled out, I had the condom on, and all of that. If the condom rolled off, wait a minute, where's something I can throw as a flag? Like, hold on. If the condom rolled off, penalty on the field. The condom rolled off, that is delay of sexual activity, ball game is over. But some of y'all, like, we're gonna take this to 8th grade, 9th grade health class, okay? You honestly have no idea what the difference is to when you have a condom on and you're inside a woman, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, it feels unusually wet. What the fuck is going on? I know I put on a condom dealing with this woman. And then you pull out, you're like, at least me anyway, I can only speak for myself. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh no, girl, no, we're done. No. What happened? Shut up. We're done. Like, no, I need to get that condom out of you right now. And as I'm digging my finger in there, trying to get the condom out, and I'm like, fuck. Fuck. I hope it's no pre-cum and this and that, and I'm digging in there. Damn it, fuck. I don't want to hear this bitch call me a week from now talking about, I might be pregnant. And I pull that shit out and I'm done. I'm putting clothes on and I'm out. I'm not even getting a sandwich. I'm not getting any water. I'm not getting shit. In that house, wherever I'm at, I'm out. And if she's at my place, we're done. No, we can watch a movie, we can cuddle, whatever, or order some pizza, go to Denny's. I don't care. But we ain't doing no more fucking. It's that simple. Like, you people don't know how to play this game? But then, That's your way out. Like, oh, you gonna go to Planned Parenthood, right? You gonna do this, right? Oh, because you were being irresponsible. Oh, because you weren't paying attention. It's your motherfucking fault. Yes, she gave you access. I want you now. Shut up. I'm gonna get a condom. We ain't doing nothing until you just need to just keep it warm, put it in the microwave, do something. Keep it warm until I get back. I will be back in 5 minutes. Gas station right down the street. You can run, you can walk, take the car, whatever. I mean, damn, like old dude in Booty Call. He got plastic wrap at least. I mean, put some get some Glad wrap. Get some plastic, do something. Get a plastic bag. I mean, something, dude. Damn. It's like you watch these fucking movies and you don't pay attention to shit. Didn't you hear Snoop? Nothing but a G thing? Weren't you paying attention? I forget what the words were, but it's like, basically he said, ain't no pussy good enough for me to bust a nut in it. You didn't hear that? You weren't paying attention? Huh? Shit like this is part of the problem. So it is not all the fact that these globalists and these people, these pieces of shit that are out to destroy you, some of it, yeah, it's your motherfucking fault. Females, keep your fucking legs closed. I mean, damn, I'm pretty sure it's one of the easiest things for a woman to do is to open her legs. But can you do the population a favor? If you're not ready for it, then don't do it. Or if you're gonna do it, at least wear some protection. If you have the birth control pill, or it's a little sponge. I remember this from health class in 9th grade. This was in the 90s. I remember this. It's a little sponge, a little tiny sponge. You put that shit up in there. Fuck. And it has spermicide on it. What is spermicide? It kills the sperm. Is it 100% effective? No. But that's where the dude comes in and wears the condom with spermicide. I did not intend to say all that. I really didn't. I really didn't intend to go there. But some of this shit, it's just so annoying. I don't believe what these globalists are talking about. I don't believe them one bit. But in a way, I can understand where they come from. That does not mean I agree with it. I will say they have a point. Is it right? No. They do not have the right to tell people how many. Now, China, you can say what you want to about them. At first, they said, no, you can only have 1 or 2 children. No. But then shit started changing. Stuff started going down. Geopolitically, they said, oh, no. Now you need to populate. No. Because in, 10, 15, 20 years, we moving. We're going to do something. If you don't believe me, I mean, you're on TikTok and China owns TikTok. Maybe you should start looking at this shit. You going to do that? Nope. You're going to be looking at she got booty though. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of booty though. Yeah, I mean, shit. But it's stuff like this. They do not. Who governs these people? Who governs Planned Parenthood? Who has oversight over them? Who gets to tell these people that they could do shit like this? No, well, we're here for reproductive rights and all this. Meanwhile, people are hooting and hollering for reproductive rights, but then they're wearing pussy hats in protest. Some of them are practically naked while they're protesting. I aborted my kid. I had 2 abortions. I don't give a fuck. But then, 20 years from now, when your brain starts developing, and you realize, oh my God, I missed the window for having children, and I met this guy, and I love him so much, and I can't give him children and all this. No, in vitro. We need to do in vitro. Who needs to do in vitro? Who? You. Not me. Who's going to pay for in vitro? After all these abortions you done had, you want me to pay for in vitro? No. I didn't go into the abortion clinic, and I didn't tell you to go into the abortion clinic. You did. Your mama did. Your sisters did. Your aunties did. Your nieces did. Your girlfriends did. Your OnlyFans simps told you to. Huh? Oh, but you wanted to go to that club. You want to go to that party. You want to go to the party of the century that happens every single fucking year. Right? Huh? That's what you wanted to go to, not Woodstock. What's that other one? What's the newer one? It's on the tip of my tongue. I don't remember it at the wrong time. These concerts like IHaveADream concert and all these big ones. Shit, I just had the name. Damn it, whatever. But you want to go to concerts like that. And then the next day, now I'm just going to go to Planned Parenthood because I'm a student and I don't want to give up my life for this. But you didn't tell the dudes to wear condoms either. You didn't want to you didn't want to have birth control. You didn't want to have that little sponge thing. You didn't want to have that little ring thing or, whatever. You didn't want that. Or whatever device y'all be sticking up there. I mean, y'all stick everything else up there. When you're on OnlyFans, when you're trying to make money, you'll stick all kind of shit up there. I mean, fuck. You'll stick this up there. I mean, you'll stick this. You'll stick this. I mean, fuck. What else I got? I mean, you'll stick this up there. I mean, you'll stick all kind of shit. But you won't stick any birth control up in there. Huh? I got myself riled up. I was supposed to save this for a rant tomorrow or, whatever. But I got plenty more to rant about, believe me. But, I just want you to know, it's appreciated, when you pay homage to this globalist bullshit. It's appreciated. It really is. So, at the end of it all, I just really have questions about Dr. Martin Luther King. I've heard things about him. I can't say. I can't say at this moment. This is a huge chunk right here, and I'm looking at it. I mean, let me see. For the Negro, therefore, intelligent guides of family planning are a profoundly important ingredient in his quest for security and a decent life. Intelligent guides of family planning, such as what? And on top of that, why would I need you to tell me how to plan a family? If I decide to bust a nut up inside a woman, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to take responsibility. Should that event come. No pun intended. Why would I need you? Why would I need a faction that's backed by the government? Why do I need the government to tell me anything regarding me? If I want to have 4 kids, I better have a 4-kid job. It's that simple. And if I have 4 kids, more likely she gonna work too. Like, no, you ain't gonna, no. You gonna work too. You ain't gonna be terrorizing me. I'm trying to make the money, and then you come terrorizing me. Like, we don't talk, we don't spend time together. All right, well, get your ass up and go to work. No. I was raised where both parents worked, so believe me, I'm gonna work and she gonna work. She gonna like it or she gonna get gone. Period. I don't care. Which is speaking of, I'm not even going to do that. What I'm going to do, if the time comes, is a surrogate. Because I don't trust society these days. I don't trust people like Planned Parenthood. Fuck them. I'm going to get a surrogate. She'll have the body type that I want, and you know, all this and all that. I'll do some homework on her and how she was raised and all this, you know, and other factors as well, you know. And I'll just straight up tell her, look, we can do this one of two ways. We can do this the natural way, or we can do this the artificial way. You choose. But you gonna carry my child. I'm gonna take care of you for 9 months. I'm gonna give you the money that is required, which is, I think it's like $90,000 or $100,000. I'm gonna give you that. That child belongs to me, and you can live your life. Goodbye. Just saying. Or maybe I should just go find me a woman who's had multiple abortions, right? Or whose window is closing. Maybe I should do that. Yeah? And then, like, oh, well, you know, we have to wait for my ovulation cycle, and we have to wait for the moon to be in waxing gibbous, and I have to take all these supplements. Okay, woman. Well, you do that. While you waiting on waxing gibbous, I'm going to be down the street waxing somebody's ass. All right? My cycle is every day. Every day. 30 days, 30 women, 30 pregnancies, if I so chose. I don't have to wait for shit. Well, in vitro, you know, that's the way we should do it. No, that's the way you're going to do it. You're going to pay for it. I'm not paying for shit. Even with me having type 2 diabetes, I can still reproduce. My testosterone is a lot lower. My sperm volume is a lot lower. But I can still reproduce. I can still bust inside her if I have to. Shit. In vitro. You gonna pay for in vitro. Shit, it's probably like, what, 10 or 20,000? You think I'm gonna pay? I'm not paying a dime. You're gonna pay for it. Shit. Anyway. Shit like this annoys me because it's globalist talk. It's globalist talk, and it really pisses me off. They just did this. But this thing, 1966, Dr. Martin Luther King, somebody who was supposed to be a civil rights leader. I mean, for all intent and purposes, a civil rights leader. But I mean, what's really going on with this guy? And I'm not trying to lionize him or demonize him. I want the truth. And I don't want to hear it from emotional people. I don't. I want the facts. I want the truth. And when I discover the truth, I will leap to my own conclusions. And I'm going to tell you, I have these conclusions based on that speech, based on this, based on that, based on what I saw, based on what I held in my hand. I want to see that that award. Oh my God, I hope there is a place, and I mean an actual place. I would actually go to it. I don't know if where they may have a Martin Luther King tribute or museum or something like that, but I swear I hope that is there. I really hope that is there, because I will take a picture and I'm going to say, bam, I got it. Nothing else needs to be said. That's all I need to see. Or to see that letter that he wrote to Cass Canfield. I bet you Planned Parenthood has it somewhere. I bet you they do. They do. Because they're proud of this. I mean, in the beginning of the this motherfucking thing, they said, Planned Parenthood is proud to reprint Dr. King's acceptance speech. That's like having a flag football game and you pick up an NFL player. And the NFL players on your team. It's like, look, I am proud to have this motherfucker on my team. That's how Planned Parenthood is acting. They are saying, we are proud. We have him. We will never let this go. We will never forget this. And we will never let you forget about this. We have him. When you talk about Martin Luther King, you better believe you're talking about Planned Parenthood. That's what Planned Parenthood is thinking. But now that connection has been made. So, honor Martin Luther King. That's on pause right now. I'm just going to pause it. Because I want to say, nope, I will never honor this dude, ever. A part of me wants to say that, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna do more research. See, this is what's called science. Not the science. This is called science. You accumulate all the resources that you possibly can, and then you draw your conclusions from there. Not just, oh, I don't care what you say about Martin Luther King. He this. That's not science. That's your flimsy, weak-ass emotions. Which, by the way, got you caught up into this. And we'll talk about that another day. But I think I've been talking for almost 2 hours. Hour 41. Yeah, not bad. And I think I've had enough for today. So I'm going to leave it at this. I'm going to play it back. I'm going to put the links in the description. And we'll see what happens. But this is very disturbing. This is truly disturbing. And it's not about what I want or what I think. It's about the facts. It has to be. Because we're losing the facts in this day and age. All this technology, all this everything else, and we're still missing facts. We are still missing truth. It's disappointing. So, I'm going to go. I'm going to get some rest. See if I can work a little extra or do a little extra, whatever. But y'all take care of yourselves. And as tough as it is in 2024 and beyond, because they're not done yet. These globalists are not done. Don't you dare give up.